ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। So the first chapter of this Pancadasi, basically this Pancadasi is mainly for Mananam. I mean to make our knowledge, which has been generated from the Shravanam, to make that knowledge free from the doubt. Because there will be many logical doubts, like regarding Maya, regarding Ishvara, regarding the very pursuit of the moksha. How can you say that, well, only Jnanam gives the moksha, etc., etc. There are other things which can give moksha. And well, if a person does not be able to get Jnanam, suppose, he is listening day in and day out, and still he is not able to gain Jnanam. Are there any means for such a person to gain moksha or not? Well, so there are several things like that. Well, who is a jiva, etc., etc. And are there many jivas or one jiva or these and that? So many questions are there. What is mithya actually? That also will come. So what is mithya and what is this satyam, and like that? There are several doubts. So pertaining to the knowledge which we have received through Shravanam, there are several doubts which we have, and those doubts has to be resolved, and therefore Vidyaranya specifically made this composed this book for resolving all our doubts pertaining to knowledge, make our knowledge free from doubts. So this is the text. This is considered a little advanced text compared to Atma Bodha or other things. In fact, Viveka Chudamani also, or Aparoksha Anubhuti, etc., even compared to all those texts, this is a little advanced text. And it has 15 chapters, as you know. Panchadashi means 15 chapters are there, and the first 5 chapters called Viveka Panchakam. Next 5 chapters will be Deepa Panchakam, and the next 5 chapters, last 5 chapters will be Ananda Panchakam. There also Vidyaranya is going to show that there is really no sense pleasure. There is only Ananda is of the nature of Atma alone. That he proves it also. So that is Vishayanande, Brahmananda, Yoganande, Brahmananda, etc., etc. Here, those are the 5 chapters. So they are all Ananda Panchakam. Panchakam is a group of 5. Now in this first Panchakam, that is the first chapter, first Panchakam, that is Viveka Panchakam, the first chapter is called Tattva Viveka Panchakam. Tattva Viveka Prakaranam, I'm sorry. So Tattva Viveka Prakaranam means it presents the entire Vedanta Shastra in a nutshell. Because basically, here Viveka only is a prime thing. Even to gain a qualification for Vedanta also, Viveka is the first thing. And after gaining qualification also, the first thing is a Viveka. It's amazing. We have both different types of Viveka. So gaining qualification, you should have a Purushartha Viveka. What pursuit, what goal I should keep in my mind. Whether I should have a moksha also, and artha also, and kama also, and dharma also, or whether in a human life there is only one goal, etc. So that is a Purushartha Viveka between Artha, Kama and dharma and the moksha. There is really a purushartha is only moksha, etc. So that is there, and then once you gain a little qualification for gaining knowledge, you are qualified. Then definitely again Atma and Atma Viveka. So again Viveka comes. So it's here this is Tattva Viveka Prakranam. So here the entire Vedanta Shastra is presented in a nutshell. And in the first two mantras of this Prakranam, this first chapter, Vidyaranya gives an introduction by offering namaskara to the Gurus and presenting the subject matter as Tattva Viveka. Tattva Viveka means distinguishing Satyam and Mithya, distinguishing Atma and Anatma. That is, Atma is Satyam, Jagan Mithya, or Anatma is Mithya. That is the main Viveka. Atma Anatma Viveka you can call. Tattva means Atma basically. So this is regarding first two verses. Now verse number 3 to 10. I am going to take a group and tell you what is the subject matter in that particular group. So the second part of that Prakranam is verse number 3 to 10. In that the central teaching of Vedanta is given, that is, we can call essence of the Vedanta is here, in which Vidyaranya analyzes the entire life of an individual, this jiva, to arrive at the non-variable part of the individual. In this individual, there is one thing which is variable, other thing is invariable. All the objects we experience in our life are variable, naturally. And so, in that all experiences, is there anything non-variable, or there is nothing called non-variable thing in all these experiences? Our life is nothing but all series of experiences. And there are varieties of the experiences. So we feel all the time in experiences means the variable factor only. But in all these experiences, is there any non-variable factor is there or not? That's a question. And that is analyzed here. Vidyaranya pointed out that all these experiences has two components. One is variable, other is invariable. First thing is that the very thought which is relevant to the perceived object, that is corresponding to every object we have a corresponding thought, a relevant thought in the mind. And even the objects keep changing, the thoughts also pertaining to that object also keeps changing. And so thought is one component of a experience. Object and thought, and both are variable. Nothing to, it is without even thinking we can say both are variable. Object also is variable, and thought pertaining to that object also is variable. Now that is one part of the experience. Second part of the experience is a non-variable component. And a non-variable component we generally lose sight of. We have never come across until we enter into Vedanta. Till then we have never, we are never aware of this something called non-variable component. And what is that non-variable component? It is consciousness. And that is analyzed here. So we are all the time aware of that variable component, that is the thought. The non-variable component is the consciousness, because of which, I say, I am conscious of this. You say, I am conscious of wall, I am conscious of computer, I am conscious of mobile, I am conscious of clip, I am conscious of book, etc., etc. So all the time, you say, I am conscious of this, I am conscious of this, I am conscious of this, etc. So, definitely thoughts pertaining to that, so objects vary, computer and then mobile and then clip and then book, and so objects vary, and thought pertaining to that object also will vary. But I am conscious of will never vary. I am conscious of right now fan. I am conscious of, but Swamiji, I am conscious of object or I am conscious of thought. Basically one thing, you are conscious of object, but if the thought, relevant thought is not generated, you will not be conscious of the object. Like, when I say I am conscious of the clip, definitely a clip also has, relevant to that clip, there is a thought which has arisen in my mind. Otherwise, I cannot say I am conscious of the clip at this moment. And therefore, this goes together. You can say I am conscious of a thought pertaining to the particular object. So, and so the object is different, the thought is accordingly different, but I am conscious of will not change. That will not change. So, we see that the objects and thoughts continuously change, but my consciousness of the objects is not changing. So what I am conscious of is changing, but that I am conscious is not changing. I repeat once again. What I am conscious of is changing, but that I am conscious is non-variable. What I am conscious of is a variable, and this is experience. This is experience. When you say I am experiencing clip, means I am conscious of clip at this moment. And in that, object varies, and one object goes, second object, and a thought pertaining to that object also varying. And so in a given experience, two components are there, variable and non-variable. Variable is a thought, variable is an object, and I am the consciousness pertaining to that object, well, that is non-variable. And that consciousness is I, because I am saying I am conscious of, I am conscious of, I am conscious of, therefore you are consciousness. Anyway, so Vidyaranya says consciousness is the non-variable factor, that I is the non-variable factor in all experiences throughout the waking state. So this is a waking state. Then having arrived at the non-variable factor, that is consciousness, that is I, in the waking state, Vidyaranya extends to the dream state also. So in Sapnavastha also, well, what I am conscious of, the objects and dream thoughts, etc. are variable, but that I am conscious is always non-variable. So is there a difference between a non-variable consciousness in the waking state and a non-variable consciousness in the dream state? Is there a difference between that? Is there a difference in consciousness between a consciousness that is in the waking state and consciousness in the dream state? No, there is no. And so in both the states, well, objects are changing, thoughts are changing, experience are changing, let's say, time is changing, space is changing. Definitely waking space is this. In dream you have a different space. And so all these are variable. But the non-variable consciousness is same in both the states. It means I, the consciousness, well, I continue to exist even in a dream state. That means, well, in different states of experience or different states of existence, you can say, avastha, basically, time, space, etc. Well, they come and go, but consciousness is not subject to arrival and departure because it is all the time there in a waking state as a non-variable factor. It is still there. Now that waking state has gone, waking objects, waking experience, waking time, waking space, and waking thoughts. As a waker, I had different thoughts. As a dreamer, I may have a different thoughts. So all, well, they are variable, but the consciousness continues to be there. Let the avastha go from waking state to the dream state. So I, the consciousness, well, continue to exist. So conscious is not subject to arrival and departure. Other than consciousness in the experience, everything, time, space, objects, thoughts, everything, they are temporary. They come and go. So Vidyaranya extended this further again to the sleep state. We have seen all this. In sleep also everything is absent and there is total blankness. But I am conscious of blankness. That's what we say when we wake up. That, well, I in a dream or in a deep sleep state, I was not aware of anything. So you were aware of the blankness. And so blankness, this blankness alone in the sleep state, well, we call it as a total ignorance. So you are aware of, you are conscious of total ignorance. So, well, in the Sushupti also, well, to experience that ignorance, you were there. And therefore, so consciousness does not disappear even in the deep sleep state. So, avasthatrayam, three states, three avasthas, they keep on changing. In that, what are the things which are changing? Let's say three states of experiences. They are changing. In that, what is the responsible for the change? Object, thought, time, space. That keeps changing. In a creation, always three things are there. Time, space. There is a three-dimensional. Scientists will go ahead and they will find out a fourth and fifth dimension also. But let's talk about three-dimension, time, space and objects. So all three are changing. But the consciousness which illumines them as a witness of all the three states is same. It never goes, never comes. So avasthatrayam changes, but avasthatraya sakshi. That's how we have defined even Atma in a Tattva-bodha. Avasthatraya sakshi. Shariratraya vilakshanam, Shariratraya vatiriktaha, etc., etc. and then Avasthatraya Sakshi. So these are Sakshi, illumining different objects and different thoughts and time, space, etc. And that continues to exist in all the three states. Now that is of a one day, right? Now next day, same thing. Next day again waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. Again third day, waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. Consciousness does not go, does not come. It is always there. It always exists. And well, after a month and after a year and like that, years and years passed. So all varieties of the objects come in your life, or experiences. Varieties of the thoughts also pertaining to those objects also arise. Time, space also keep changing. But basically, space changing means place. So space cannot change. The place. So you have experience right now at this place, you have experience then at other place. So that way. So place also keeps changing, and but the consciousness is an invariable factor in all experiences. And therefore, if consciousness continues to exist throughout, well, then consciousness, which we call as a chit, it is existence, because it doesn't undergo any change. It is all the time there. So its nature must be existence. Time also comes and goes. Waking time comes and goes, and dream time comes and goes. And then during sleep, the time itself resolves, but still I am there. And therefore, I am something beyond time. And therefore, I should not say, I am existent right now, but I don't know about tomorrow. Well, tomorrow I may not be there. That's how people call or tell also in a family sometimes. I don't know. Better you know what are the things, Person may have a saving something, and then he or she tells to wife, better sit down and take some interest and know all these things, what are the things, where and what deposit and this and that, and better because any time I may go. So creates a fear, in fact, in a wife. Anyway, what I am saying is, so when you are bound by time, you cannot say, I exist all the time. You cannot say. So existence must be your nature. That existence must be a nature when you are free from the time, when you are timeless, basically. Otherwise, an existent thing becomes non-existent if it is time bound. And therefore, this consciousness which is present all the time in all the avasthas, and then it continues to exist in the creation all the time, and the creation dissolves, and then also it will remain, because it is existence. It is not bound by the time. It is not affected by the time, and therefore consciousness chit is called sat. That is how it is. We say that. So sat chit is a non-variable component. That is nothing but the I, the sat chit, because I am the consciousness which is existence. That I am, which is sat chit, is a non-variable component during and varieties of the experiences in a life. And other than I, everything in the experience is variable. And so that is my real nature, because it doesn't go, it doesn't come, it cannot be negated, and therefore that's a reality. We define Satyam like this only, which cannot be negated is Satyam. That's how Atma is called Satyam also, because of that. Other than that, things are coming and going, and therefore they are incidental. What comes and goes is incidental. Body comes and goes, incidental. Mind comes and goes, incidental. Mind also resolves, right, in a deep sleep state. Then again wakes up, and then again in dream there is a different kind of a mind, and etc. etc. So, other than I, the consciousness, Satchit, everything comes and goes. That's how we call variable. And therefore, they are incidental nature of me. Body is an incidental nature of me. Incident, if you want to call. Because we say I am a body, etc. I am physical body, I am human being, etc. So, no problem. But that's your incidental nature. Your real nature is Satchit, non-variable, cannot be negated. All the time it is there. So, I am Satchit Atma. This much we have arrived at from verse number 3 to verse number 10. And also then we should add Ananda also. That also has been discussed, of course. And Satchit Ananda. So Satchit we have arrived, And then from then Ananda also we have arrived at. So when I look at all these things which I love in my life, well, what I love is constantly changing. And foods also, I have certain foods I like today, I love today, and tomorrow I may not like, etc., etc. People also, some people I like today and some people I don't like also. Some place I like, and thousands of things. One day we love and next day we hate, and like that. To the extent that, the people, some youngsters, they are in love so much, and something happens, and that person, the boy kills the wife, kills that girl. When one loves intensely, then object of love which he was loving intensely can become an object of intense hatred. You must be seeing all the incidences in a paper, newspaper, etc., that they were in love each other and that person kills her, and etc., etc. So much hatred that you can kill a person. Earlier she was or he was an object of love, intense love, as if there are no other couples anyway. What I want to say is, what I love is always changing. We are not sure actually that throughout we love something. It is not. But there is one thing, well, I love invariably. That is there. So I love objects, that is variable. But I love the subject, myself, is non-variable. You all the time, unconditionally, you love yourself. That's what we have seen. One is called premaha. That is, a love towards yourself is called, we call premaha, love. And a love towards object is premabhasa. Actually, you really don't love. You love the condition, basically. Under certain condition, you love a person. You love an object. If object or person cannot fulfill the conditions which you have, then definitely you drop it, or you hate, you have a hatred also, whatever. So, I love myself, that's what. So, basically, even one kills somebody, that's for one's own sake. That's for one's own sake. Because she must be becoming an obstruction for some purpose, and therefore you may do this kind of a heinous crime also. Anyway, so whatever I love must obviously, unconditional love, please understand this. If I love myself unconditionally, then I must be the source of happiness. If I love objects conditionally, means that object is no more able to give you happiness, and therefore you drop the object. So, but you love yourself unconditionally, and therefore you must be the source of happiness. Otherwise, if source means what? All the time supplying. That is why. So that is called the source. So you love yourself unconditionally all the time, under all conditions, all the places, means you must be the source of happiness. So the consciousness which is non-variable, which is existence, and which does not come and go, which is abaditam, which cannot be negated, that I, Satchit, is a source of happiness called Ananda. And so I am Satchidananda. Well, this is how Vidyaranya, you imagine, there is no Upanishadic statement he has utilized. Just by logic he has proved that you are Satchidananda. It's an amazing thing, right? Definitely. Behind the curtain there is a Upanishad Vakyam. That's for sure. That we don't deny it. But rather, even that is why I call it as a mananam. Logically he proved that you are Satchidananda. And few verses, 7 or 8 verses, that's all. In 8 verses, this is Vidyaranya. Amazing. So, well, and then he says, well, Vedanta declares that Brahman is the Satchidananda also. And well, I say I am Satchidananda, and therefore I and Brahman are equal. That's all. They say Lakshana Aikyat, Lakshya Aikyam. If Lakshana, the definition is same, then both are the same thing only. And therefore, here he has proved Atma is Satchidananda. Well, Shastra says Brahman is Satchidananda. Okay, I am Brahman. That's how it is. So, Aham Brahmasmi. So, this is verse number 3 to 10. Now, verse number 11 to 14, Vidyaranya points out that, well, we do not know the true nature of ourselves completely. Partially we know. Every individual has got this partial ignorance about oneself, And if there is total ignorance, like a deep sleep state where you are not aware of yourself completely, well, there is no problem. And well, in a waking state, if you know yourself that you are Brahman, etc., then also there is no problem. So total ignorance, no problem. And so that's how in deep sleep state we don't have any problem. And in a waking state, Jnanis have no problem because he knows himself totally. So in both conditions there is no problem. Total ignorance, no problem. Total knowledge, clarity with respect to oneself, no problem. Then in between there is a problem. So partial ignorance, partial you know yourself. That's how we discuss. If you remember in Kenopanishad, I will remind you, we discussed at Adhara and Adhishthanam. That time I told you that I am. Well, I know Atma, that I am a conscious entity without any kind of way utilizing any means of knowledge, because it is self-evident. And therefore I am a conscious entity, etc. I exist, etc. is very simple to know. Yeah, but I am Brahman, I am limitless consciousness, that I don't know. That's correct. So Atma is known as I. And as a conscious being also, that is existent being, conscious being as a known. But I am limitless consciousness pervading everything, well, it is not known. So total knowledge I don't have. Partial knowledge I have. And that's how when partial knowledge is there and partial ignorance is there, that is the place where mistake is going to occur. Where ignorance, well, we have taken the example of a rope also. Rope is known as, this is rope. If I say this is rope, no problem. There is a question of snake. There is no question of snake. But this is rope, instead this is known. This is partial knowledge of the rope in terms of this is. But then rope is not known. Then well, on this is you superimpose snake. And that's how you have now in your mind a vritti. This is snake. So that is called superimposition. And that is a cause of the problem, fear, everything. So basically here also he explains that you have a partial knowledge about yourself, not total knowledge. Total knowledge means you will have all the days, goody days you will have. And total ignorance also you like very much. Maja hai. But in partial ignorance, partial knowledge, that is beautifully discussed in a Brahma Sutra Adhyasa Bhashyam. That's an introductory bhashyam which is considered as a marvel in the Vedantic literature. Brahma Sutra Shankara Bhashyam is considered as a marvel by all the scholars. Whatever, even they have they are against maybe Shankaracharya ji, but they definitely considered that this bhashyam, that introductory portion in the Brahma Sutra called Adhyasa Bhashyam, how the superimposition arises, Bhashyakara has explained beautifully. And if Adhyasa cannot be proved, there is no question of knowledge. What is the role of knowledge? To remove Adhyasa, to remove wrong notions, right? To remove wrong notions pertaining to the self. That's the only criteria. And therefore Adhyasa has to be first proven. And Brahma Sutra being a logical Nyaya Grantha, so Bhashyakara has proved without even Shruti statement that there is Adhyasa. That there is Adhyasa, there is a superimposition, and in that he has utilized this condition, partial knowledge, partial ignorance. This is just by the way. Anyway, so because of this, well, there is no total, knowledge about myself and partial knowledge, and therefore misconception, wrong notions pertaining to self arises, as in the case of rope. A wrong notion has arisen called snake. This is snake, that's a wrong notion, and that has become a cause for samsara. All this fear, etc. Same way I am jiva, etc. I am individual, subject to birth and death, and subject to punya papa, and all this, so many. And so all the time feeling limitations and having a fear, and then all other things. Ignorance is there, that means all other vices will come. Basically kama, krodha, lobha, moha, there will be irsha also for somebody, jealousy and these and that. So ultimately, this is all samsara. And not only that, we have seen samsara means samyak sarati. All the time you will have a natural desire to transform yourself. All the time you feel that there should be some change in me. There should be some change in me for betterment. There should be some change in me. And you always look for some areas in you where you want to change. By that I will feel good about myself. So you keep on doing that in absence of this knowledge that you are basically limitless. No change is required, sir. And so you are limitless. And therefore, well, but if that is not there, then the wrong notion arises that I am individual or a jiva or etc. And some all other notions also, and therefore that's called samsara. So avidya is ignorance is a cause of a samsara. This was verse number 11 to 14. Now verse number 15 to 32 we will discuss. Vidyaranya gives an elaborate description of the processes and the mechanism of the samsara. Because samsara means basically jiva should be there. Then jagat should be there. And Ishvara also should be there. So that division should be there. Everything is required. So he introduces that jiva, jagat and Ishvara triangle here in this 15 to 32. And in order to give us a more clarity regarding samsara, which has arisen from avidya because of the ignorance. And what kind of ignorance? It is not total ignorance. Please keep this in mind. There is not a total ignorance. I know myself as well as I don't know myself. That is called samanya jnanam is there, vishesha jnanam is not there, etc. etc. They say like that. So under such a condition, all wrong notions pertaining to the self have arisen, and what kind of a samsara will be there, that's the description is here in verse number 15 to 32. And to introduce Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara of triangle, well, first he introduces Prakriti, the basic matter principle we call, and which has three gunas, Trigunatmika Prakriti. And then Prakriti is divided into three. First is a Sattva Guna Prakriti, which he calls a Maya. He gives a one name, Maya. Tamah Pradhana Prakriti, well, he is called Prakriti. He calls it as a Prakriti. And Rajah Pradhana Prakriti is called Avidya. He has given these three names. I am not introducing new names. He has given these three names. So, the Prakriti is required because Brahman cannot become Jiva. Brahman cannot become Jagat. Brahman cannot become Ishvara also. Brahman is Brahman. A limitless Brahman, free from all attributes and homogeneous, and he is one. That one cannot become many. So Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara, etc. So several Jivas are there. Jagat also several names and forms and Ishvara. So all these multiple things, from one Brahman, how can it become? Then so he introduced a principle called Prakriti. And that Prakriti also is a Trigunatmika in that, Sattva Pradhana Prakriti called Maya, Tamah Pradhana Prakriti called Prakriti, and Rajah Pradhana Prakriti called Avidya. Now Brahman associated with means Prakriti is basically non-separate. We have discussed all this. Prakriti is non-separate from the Brahman. There we have seen as a Maya. But here he calls Prakriti. It is the same thing, nothing to worry. I have given you 8 names, I think, right? Avyaktam and Avyakrutam and Prakriti and Maya and Avidya and all these 8 names, Shakti also. So saying one thing, from different standpoints they will call with different names. But anyway, so Brahman associated with the Maya, don't think that Brahman and this Maya were away at one point of time and then some point of time they met. Nothing of that sort. Brahman, this Maya is a non-separate, or Prakriti is non-separate from the Brahman. But for the sake of creation we say like this. So Brahman associated with the Maya and Prakriti is called Ishvara. So Tamah Pradhana Prakriti and Sattva Pradhana Prakriti, both. So Brahman associated with both, identify with the both. Or Brahman is looked upon from these two upadhis. That's better. Association, etc. Forget it. I also use, but in search of in want of better words, I also sometimes use, or sometimes it doesn't come. But anyway, this is better. Well, same Brahman, which is limitless, from when you look at it through that Brahman, from different upadhis. Like one actor, you look at the actor from a different dress which he has wear, then you will call him a different person. So that kind of a thing. So definitely, then that is called Ishvara, Tamah Pradhana Prakriti and Sattva Pradhana Prakriti. And that Ishvara is a Nimitta Karanam of the Jagat and Upadana Karanam of the Jagat. Maya, through Maya, when Brahman becomes Nimitta Karanam, and through Prakriti, Tamah Pradhan Prakriti, that is Prakriti, Brahman becomes Upadana Karan. And then having introduced Ishvara, then Vidyaranya talks elaborately about Srushti. Because once Ishvara comes and then from Prakriti, that is Tamah Pradhan Prakriti, the matter principle, all the Pancha Mahabhutas definitely come. And then from that subtle elements, the gross elements come. And then Panchikaranam, etc. through, and then gross elements, and then all the Sukshma Shariram and Sthula Shariram and everything is there. You know all this very well. And 14 lokas also. All these details are, so entire Srushti has been arranged. He explains in one verse, that's all. We have seen, there are not many verses, just in one verse everything is over. Vidyaranya clearly explained the entire creation which has come from the Ishvara, because Ishvara is Upadana Karan, material, and Ishvara is a Nimitta Karan also. Through Maya, Nimitta Karan, through Tamah Pradhana Prakriti, Maya is Sattva Pradhana Prakriti. Through Tamah Pradhana Prakriti, material, Upadana Karan, material cause. Then same Brahman, when he is looked upon from the Upadhi of Rajoguna Pradhana Prakriti, is called Jiva. Because Ishvara has, and the creation, Ishvara and Jagat, both are over. Then he introduced Jiva also. So Jiva does not have a knowledge, like Ishvara, definitely Rajah Pradhana Prakriti. And therefore, Rajah means Malina Sattva, we have seen that, Malina Sattva. And therefore, definitely all the time getting associated with Tamah Pradhana Prakriti also. So and therefore he will not be a total knowledge. Jiva is not a total knowledge. And this, in fact, the Rajah Pradhana Prakriti, we have called it as Avidya also. And therefore, definitely he is not a Sarvagnya, omniscient, etc. So, and definitely, so Ishvara has a knowledge, Aham Brahmasmi, definitely, because he is Sarvagnya. But Jiva does not have a knowledge. Jiva has a partial knowledge that I am, as a conscious being, existent being. But I am Brahman, he doesn't know. So, partial knowledge, partial ignorance. And he mistakes himself further as a Karta, Bhokta, Pramata, etc. And so I am limited. When you introduce yourself as a doer, definitely the limitations go along with that. And there is no doubt regarding that. So, and this Jiva, the Upadhi, the Avidya, Rajah Pradhan Prakriti or Avidya is Anadi. So Jiva is Anadi, in short. When Brahman is looked upon from the Rajah Pradhana Prakriti is called Jiva. But that Rajah Pradhana Prakriti itself is Anadi. That's how Jiva also is Anadi. And Jiva has a sense of that limitation. Jiva has a sense of a lack within. And so definitely a poor Jiva, once he takes a birth, the birth is given for one purpose only, to gain fulfillment in life. That's what it is, to gain fulfillment. And everybody's definition about fulfillment is different. And so people try in varieties of the direction. But we try in one way. We study Pancadasi and gets fulfillment. That's the easiest way of doing, rather than doing something, toiling a lot and still have a sense of unfulfillment. Definitely this is better. So I'm not satisfied with myself, because whenever I look upon myself, I am all the time, I'm self-conscious. And a human being means 100% self-conscious. Totally you are aware of yourself. And so smallest limitation in you are able to trace it. And that you cannot stand, because that's not your nature. You are limitless. And therefore you want to remove that limitation. And in terms of knowledge, I feel suppose a limitation. And that too in knowledge also I feel a limitation in terms of, let's say, I'm giving an example. In terms of knowledge, Vedantic knowledge. And in that also I feel a limitation in knowledge of a Maya or something. Oh, the Maya I don't understand, Swamiji. I think I should work upon it and get a clarity. And so you strive for that, you strive. And so this is how it is. So to remove the limitation, you strive a lot. That's called samsara. That is called samsara. Samsara means changing myself, transforming myself, becoming something. I want to become something which I'm not happy with what I am right now. That's all. This is the product of avidya. This is a product of this partial knowledge, partial ignorance. Because of that you have superimposed jivatvam, individuality on yourself, and sense of limitation, and then you all the time want to come out of it. So that's how we always say avidya, because of avidya there will be samsara, etc. We all the time say that. So anyway, and then you know very well, day before yesterday or something I told you, right? This bachelor wants to become now a husband, and husband wants to become a father, and father wants to become a father-in-law, and father-in-law wants to become a grandfather, and like that. It goes on and on. That is just a simple thing I am telling. And this is a process of becoming. See, when you are aware that I am a doer, then also you cannot accept yourself, because doer is limited. So you want to do more and more. As a knower, pramata also you are not able to accept, because there also limitation. As a knower you have a limitation. There also you want to know more and more. As a bhokta also, experiencer also, you are limited. That also you cannot accept. And therefore you want to experience more and more. You want to have more and more bhoga. So this is called samsara. So knowing, doing, enjoying, etc. goes on and on and on. And at the time of that, of course, I look upon myself as a naturally same incomplete person with a lot of unfulfilled desires, and then Ishvara gives a next janma. So samsara includes, we say samsara means again and again, and taking birth and death and etc. But this we can understand now very well, how samsara means janma, maranam, etc. So it is easy to understand. So because of the unfulfilled desires, Ishvara gives another body so you can work upon, and by luck that is going to come. By luck, if you come across such teaching, etc., then that could be a different thing. So here Vidyaranya said there to describe that, samsara. Well, he has used in verse number 30. He said, Nadyam kitaha iva avartar taram ashute vrajanto janmano janma labhante naiva nirvritim. So he says everybody is a worm in a whirlpool. So I die and escape this whirlpool, means this body, and then I am caught in another whirlpool, another body. And Vidyaranya goes on and to say that there are some lucky jivas, who after going through several this human or non-human births, they by sheer punya, that's all. Because the janma comes in a manusya janma, and that too in a Vedic culture, is very, very rare thing. What will be the cause? If you think, you will find that there could not be any other cause but karma. So born in a society with a Vedic culture, then Veda Pramanam is available, and we learn about then, other things, Karma Yoga and Upasana and Jnana Yoga, etc. And this moksha, everything we learn, and going through all this. But definitely one should have a certain qualification. A background is essential, and that is Viveka, Vairagya, etc. You should have a Purushartha Viveka, and therefore for all other pursuits after discrimination, you should drop those pursuits and have this pursuit of a moksha. And for moksha also, basically, Jnanam is required, etc. And so that also for you should commit yourself to Jnanam, etc. So all this is basically, at every step, person may come across many obstacles, and therefore, he is required to have Ishvara's grace. And so this Karma Yoga, etc. helps the person to have a grace of Ishvara, because he is through karma, he is connecting to Ishvara. And so he will have a grace, and so ultimately gets qualified and gets Jnanam without much obstruction, etc. and then gain moksha. So that is how, it has been told, Durlabam trayam evaitat daivanugraha hetukam manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samshaya. Durlabam trayam. These three things are durlabam, very rare, and that is daivanugraha hetukam. That is possible. These three rare things are possible just only through daivanugraha, means through the grace of Ishvara. That's the only cause. Hetu means a cause. The only cause for getting these three rarest thing is grace of Ishvara. And what are they? Manushyatvam, gaining a human life, and having a human life, having a desire for moksha, etc. And for moksha, etc., gaining clarity that Jnanam alone is essential. Nothing else, because once you say, I want moksha, then you will be vulnerable in this spiritual world. you will be vulnerable to many things. So many things are going on in the world. But, you will come across to a Mahapurusha Samshaya, come across a very good teacher, and then gain knowledge, etc. And get clarity first thing, that moksha is only through knowledge. That itself takes a lot of time. That is a part of Shravanam. That moksha is only possible through Jnanam. And then, of course, gets Jnanam also, Shravanam, Mananam, etc. And so gain moksha. And therefore, it says these three things are very rare. Manushyatvam, Mamukshutvam, and an association with a good teacher, etc. So once through punya, after going through several births of human life or some other living beings or something, once ultimately come across born in a Vedic culture, etc., and get exposed to this kind of thing, and to have exposure to this is very rare thing. Then he has to talk about Jnanam now, because that person has a desire of a moksha, etc., and he has entered into this Guru Shastra track. Then under the guidance of the Guru, the Jiva enters this final level of a sadhana, means called Jnana Yoga. And that Jnana Yoga he talked from verse number 33 to verse number 62. Now Jnana Yoga means what? Jnana Yoga consists of three things: Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasana. And what he does is, 33 to 48, he discusses Shravanam. 49 to 53, he discusses Mananam. And verse 54 to 62, that's the end of the chapter, he discusses Nididhyasana. So, entire Jnana Yoga is covered in this verse number 33 to 62. So, this doing Shravanam, we'll start now Shravanam, etc., which is discussed from verse number 33 to 48. We have already completed. We are actually, let me tell you, we are in a verse number 50. So, this thing also we have covered. So, during Shravanam, the student goes through a consistent study is required. That is all acharyas basically, emphatically say that the effective Shravanam means one has to study consistently, and not consistently means consistently 1 month, let's say. That is not enough. For a long time also. So that's another condition. Consistently one should study, for a long time one should study. That is how it is. And what should I study? Vedantics, text. That is only a means of knowledge. And so, should I study independently? No. Under the guidance of a teacher who communicates. And so, my first step is understanding what I am different from, basically this body, mind, sense complex, drishya viveka, etc. And how? Using the method of Anvaya Vyatireka. We have seen that yat sattve yat sattvam, yad abhave yad abhava. When one is there, other is there. One is not, other is not, etc. etc. So through the drishya viveka, basically one understands that I am not this body, mind, sense complex. When body is there, physical body is there, I am there. Physical body is not there, I am there. We have seen, of course, all this. Physical body is there in a waking state. But then I, the consciousness, Satchit, is also there as a non-variable factor in a dream state also. But in dream state, this physical body is of no use. And therefore, physical body is there, in waking state, I am there. That's called Anvaya. Physical body is not there in a dream state, but I am there, non-variable. Therefore, this is called Vyatireka. So, by Anvaya Vyatireka, you understand, in absence of physical body, if I exist, means I am not the physical body. So, it is so simple, right? Everything looks very simple. Anyway, in a class it looks simple, yeah, correct. And so, basically, through Anvaya Vyatireka, you can understand that I am not the body, I am not the mind. Mind also you are able to understand in the same way. When mind is there, you are there. Non-variable factor means all the time you are there. Consciousness is all the time there. And so when mind is there, you are there. In a waking state, in a dream state, you are there. And in deep sleep state, mind is not there, resolved. Well, still I am there. And therefore, this is a Vyatirika. And so you can understand I am not the mind. Then senses are there in a waking state, I am there. These senses are not there in dream state, in a deep sleep state, but I am there, and therefore I am not the senses. So I should not call myself as a seer, knower, hearer, etc. But through, I should give up an identification with these senses. So, this is the first step in Shravana, the Druk-Drishya Viveka basically, and you have to employ the method of Anvaya-Vyatireka. When one is, other is. When one is not, still other is, etc. So, I get this Panchakosha Viveka also. This is all part of Shravana. Shariratraya Viveka, etc. Avasthatraya Viveka, etc. And like we did, Avasthatraya Viveka we did in a waking state, well, I am there, and then in a deep sleep state, or in dream state also I am there, in deep sleep state I am there, etc. So, while learning that these three, Shariram, etc., and there is another way also of doing. You see, in Atma and Anatma, we have seen that several times. Between Atma and Anatma, you can have this kind of a Viveka. That these three Shariras to which I am identifying and calling them as I, well, and because of that I am myself called an individual or a Jiva. Well, but these Shariras are basically, this body, any body, is an object of experience. Like the world around me is also an object of experience. This body also is an object of experience. Our mind also is an object of experience. Let's talk about first physical body. So just as this is a object of an experience, physical body is also object of experience. This is the first one thing. And then second thing is, this body is subject to constant change, like the world is constantly changing, the physical body also is constantly changing. This is the second thing. And the body is made up of Panchamahabhutas, like this is also made up of Panchamahabhutas. And then the body has, got attributes, let's say 5 attributes first, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa and Gandha, because all the 5 elements are here. And then each element has its own guna, attribute. And so Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa and Gandha. Well, and these also may be having all the Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. It is maybe there. So, like in world has all these attributes, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Perhaps you may think, Swamiji, it doesn't have a smell. So, and then some other object. But ultimately, world is basically has a Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Body also has a Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. What I am saying is, we want this physical body we want to make it equal to the world, basically. And in a world, any object you don't take it as yourself. That is the thing. And therefore, body also we should equate with the world. We should understand with a clarity that body also is nothing but a part of world only. Because all the things are there, what world possesses, what are the attributes possessed by the world, same type of attributes are possessed, they are there even in the physical body. And therefore, definitely physical body is a part of world. Then, a clip I am not calling as myself. Why should I call body as myself? Like that. So the third thing is, the body is made up of Panchamahabhutas. Then we have seen this in fact before also. And then body has attributes, I have told you, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. And body is definitely subject to birth and death, etc. So, like the world also is subject to birth and death. The world also has attributes. World also is made up of 5 elements. World also is constantly changing. World also is an object of knowledge. Body also has all these 5 things. And therefore, I am not the physical body. This is another way of looking. Anvaya Vyatireka is one way of looking. This is another way. This is all part of Shravana. What I am talking to you right now, which has already come between verse number 33 to verse number 48, is all these things. It is a part of Shravana, by which we are gaining a jnanam that I am free from all this body. I am druk, basically. All these are drishya. So body is also so therefore I am not the body. And but then this is not simple, because what happens is, you say this is also, body is also like this. No, but it is not true. In as much as body is sentient, right? Body is sentient. This is not sentient. Body can experience something. This cannot experience. This cannot experience. Right now the fan is on here. Well, it cannot experience well, and air, etc. And therefore you feel that, well, body and this thing are not same. Well, then we should say body has a sentiency because borrowed. If because all the attributes of the world are there even in the physical body, then body is also inert. Like this. This is also made up of 5 elements, this is made up of 5 elements. This is also constantly changing, this is changing. This is also object of knowledge, this is also object of knowledge. This is also has a birth and death, this also has a birth and death. Everything same. And therefore, but then difference you find in terms of sentiency. This is insentient, this is sentient. Then simple thing is borrowed sentiency. It has a borrowed sentiency. Since I am manifest in the physical body via subtle body, so physical body has become sentient via subtle body. Therefore, basically, I am the one who is consciousness, and body, etc., is insentient. So this is how, this is a Atma Anatma Viveka. Main Atma Anatma Viveka is not with the world. Everything is Anatma. Basically, we require Atma Anatma Viveka because what is Anatma has been taken as Atma. That is the problem. Well, body is taken as Atma and Atma is taken as a body. That is what we know. Other than the body, we don't think about our dimension, bigger dimension we never think so. Anyway, and then applying the same principle, well, you can say I am different from the mind and thought. Same thing. Mind is made up of 5 elements, and mind is an object of knowledge, and mind also is born and gone, and etc., etc. Mind also has a certain attributes. Mind has its own attributes, and therefore all these things what you applied this physical body can be applied to the mind also. And therefore I am not the mind, I am not the thoughts, I am not the senses, etc. So I am ever the Sakshi or the observer and never the observed, etc. So this is very essential, because under the spell of ignorance, because of this avidya upadhi, rajoguna pradhana prakriti, Brahman, well, has a partial knowledge about himself. So I know that I am, but I don't know my own nature, that I am Brahman, etc. Or I am consciousness, limitless consciousness. I don't know. And definitely for that matter, we are surrendering to the teaching, Vedantic teaching. So exposing ourselves to the scriptures and teacher, of course. And then, to know myself, why should I go to somebody else? We feel so. To know myself, I am sufficient. Why should I go to somebody else? But then it doesn't work that way. To know yourself, you definitely have to go to somebody else. Because you cannot know yourself. That is how it is. It's like to see your face, what will you do? You definitely have to take a mirror, etc. You can't help. No, my face I will see in my own way. Well, let me turn my eyes inward or something. Nothing is going to happen. So, Paranchi Khani Vetrunat Swayambhu. This Swayambhu, this Brahma also has, he was also against us, whatever. So, Paranchi Khani. Khani means Indriyani. All the sense organs he has made an extrovert. And therefore, all the time seeing outward, cannot see oneself. And therefore, to see yourself, to know yourself, you require someone else. That is Upanishad. So, somebody has to tell you who I am. Anyway, just like we need a mirror. Mirror has to tell me how I look. Same way. So, the Upanishad says, you are Brahman. So, I was knowing. But I am Brahman, I was not knowing. That is, you can understand. I am Brahman is a long way. Even though self-revealing and self-evident and self-existent and non-variable and all the time Sakshi and everything. But those wrong notions, like I am, it has become an Adhara. And so many wrong notions are superimposed and that has formed an habit. Because wrong notions are due to avidya, right? And avidya is anadi, we have seen. And therefore wrong notions are also anadi. And therefore they have percolated into my subconscious mind also. So I consider all time myself as a jiva, pramata, bhokta, karta. And therefore to drop the wrong notions takes time, which has created a sense of limitation, That's the only thing. Once that goes away, There is nothing against there is nothing against to know that you are limitless, because all limitations are gone. And limitation causing, etc., the eye sense, etc., in the body, etc., also has gone. So Upanishad say you are Brahman Tattvamasi, that is we call Mahavakya. So analysis of Mahavakya is Shravana. That's how we know. So this thought, mind, body, everything has a location, but I, the consciousness, limitless consciousness, is not located, which is Jagat Adhishthanam, etc. I am Brahman means I am Jagat Adhishthanam, and well, then I am not located, because being limitless. So this Jagat, etc., including time, space, are located in me alone. Not I am located in Jagat. Body is located in Jagat. Mind is located in Jagat. Senses are located in Jagat. That is correct. But I am not located. I am the consciousness in which this body, mind, senses are located, and all other bodies and all other, in fact, entire world, along with the time and space, is located in me. This is the knowledge through Shravanam. Shravanam means Mahavakya Vichara, through the analysis of Mahavakya. Mahavakya means what? This Jiva Brahma Aikyam. Well, so I am not Jiva, I am Brahman, etc. So when we come to this Aikyam, we have to keep aside all the three types, because you are equating Jiva and Brahman, and therefore Jiva and Ishvara, both are Brahman ultimately. We know, we have seen that, because from the standpoint of Upadhi, the Brahman is looked upon as a Ishvara and Brahman is looked upon as a Jiva. Upadhi means that Prakriti. So you have to drop Prakriti. Avidya is a Prakriti, Upadhi of a Jiva. So if you drop it, it is Brahman. And in Ishvara also, that Tamah Pradhana Prakriti and Sattva Pradhana Prakriti, it is Maya and Prakriti. That also if you drop, that is also Brahman. And therefore, well, the difference between Jiva and Ishvara will not be there anymore. And therefore, and for that, if you remember, we have employed one Lakshana, and that Lakshana is what? Bhagatyaga Lakshana, right? Bhagasya Tyaga. From that total meaning of Jiva, you drop something, partly retain. And so, Jiva means, well, the Prakriti, that is Avidya plus Brahman, becomes Jiva. So drop Avidya, which is Mithya actually. Drop it. So then Brahman alone is there. So that is a Lakshartha. Since Bhagasya Tyaga, a part is been removed from that. Now Jiva, earlier, well, Jiva means basically this individual and ignorant and this and that, Karta, Bhokta, etc. Now that Avidya is gone, now he is Brahman. So the Jiva in his true sense, in a Lakshartha, implied meaning, indirect meaning, is Brahman. Same way Ishvara, drop this Prakriti, Maya and Tamah Pradhan Prakriti, that is, they call it Prakriti only. Because of Ishvara has become a Nimitta Karanam and Upadana Karanam. Drop that. No more required. When you are doing Mahavakya, you have to drop Karana and Karya both. Then only. Because Atma is basically free from Karanam and Karya. And therefore, whatever status that Ishvara, whatever status that Brahman gets as a cause, this is through Prakriti, these two Prakriti, Sattva Pradhana Prakriti, Nimitta Karanam, and Tamah Pradhana Prakriti, Upadana Karanam. Drop it. Why should I drop? Because they are Mithya. So drop it. And then, well, that is also Brahman. Jiva also in his true sense, Lakshatha Brahman, Ishvara also is Brahman, and then that is called Mahavakya, Jiva is Brahman. So this is how we understand. Habba. Still, most of the things are over, nothing to worry. So Bhagatyaga Lakshana is there. So this is Shravana. And now Mananam, etc. I have to talk. And we are in Mananam itself. So verse number 49 to 53 is a part of Mananam. And we are on verse number 50, and therefore we have almost reached to our destination. And so from tomorrow we'll start with our verse number 50. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari